My name is Lena Carter, and the day my boss trashed my idea in front of the entire team, I felt a spark of defiance ignite deep within me. I was 32, seated in the sleek, glass-walled conference room of Pinnacle Innovations, my heart thudding against my chest as I prepared to unveil months of relentless work. The room hummed with the familiar pre-meeting energy. Executives in tailored suits sipping overpriced lattes from the company's espresso machine, tapping on their tablets with practiced ease, and exchanging those subtle, knowing glances that always made me feel like an outsider. I'd been with Pinnacle for 5 grueling years, clawing my way up from a junior developer hunched over code in a cramped cubicle to a mid-level project manager juggling deadlines and egos. This was my moment to shine in front of the C-suite, a chance to prove I belonged. My idea, an AI-driven platform to predict customer churn and boost retention with personalized strategies, felt like my ticket to recognition. I believed it could rescue our struggling tech firm from its downward spiral, but my boss Victor Langston had other ideas. He lounged in his chair at the head of the table, arms crossed, that infuriating smirk already curling his lips. He'd never liked me, once scribbling, "too ambitious" in a performance review with a dismissive wave. Today I was determined to turn that judgment into triumph. The meeting began with the usual dose of bad news. Our sales had tanked 12% this quarter, a figure that hung heavy in the air as the CFO droned on about missed targets. The board was breathing down our necks, demanding a turnaround plan, and the tension was palpable. When my turn arrived, I stood, smoothing my skirt and gripping the remote for the projector. My voice trembled slightly at first but steadied as I spoke. I've developed a platform that uses AI to identify at-risk customers and deliver tailored retention plans, I explained, clicking through slides filled with revenue projections, engagement metrics, and a mock-up of the user interface. We could launch in 6 months and see a 20% retention boost in the first year, potentially adding $15 million to our bottom line. I'd spent nights crunching numbers, consulting with data scientists over coffee, and testing prototypes on a shoestring budget. For a brief, hopeful moment, the room went silent and I thought I'd hooked them. Then Victor cleared his throat, his tone slicing through the quiet like a blade. "Lena, that's cute," he drawled, leaning forward with a grin that didn't reach his cold eyes. "Predictive analytics? We're not some Silicon Valley unicorn with endless R&D cash. And let's be real, your track record doesn't exactly inspire confidence." A ripple of laughter broke out, a few executives nodding as if they'd been waiting for the punchline. My cheeks burned as I sank back into my chair, the humiliation settling like a stone. The rest of the meeting blurred into a fog. Budget approvals, project timelines, the clink of coffee cups, but Victor's words reverberated. Cute. Uninspiring. I'd poured my soul into that idea, working late into the night while the city slept, skipping weekend brunches with friends, and now it was reduced to a joke. I scribbled notes to hide my shaking hands, vowing to prove them wrong. 3 weeks later, I was scrolling through my phone during a rare lunch break, a soggy sandwich from the break room vending machine, when an industry alert jolted me upright. NovaTech launches groundbreaking AI retention platform, the headline screamed in bold letters. My stomach dropped as I tapped the link, the article unfolding like a nightmare. There it was, my platform, every detail from the predictive algorithms to the personalized outreach features, rebranded with NovaTech's sleek logo. Pinnacle's fiercest competitor had beaten us to the punch, and the betrayal hit hard. How had this happened? Then the pieces fell into place. Victor's late-night consulting sessions, the cryptic phone calls he'd taken in hushed tones by the water cooler, the sudden meetings with outsiders. He'd stolen my idea and handed it to them, pocketing the glory and likely a profit. That night, sleep was a distant memory. Anger churned as I paced my tiny apartment, replaying the meeting, the laughter, the dismissal. I'd given Pinnacle my best, 5 years of loyalty, late hours, and skipped holidays, and they'd repaid me with treachery. But a flicker of resolve sparked within me. Why should I let them win? NovaTech might have a version of my work, but I still held the original designs, the raw potential they'd dismissed. The next morning, I called in sick, claiming a migraine, and locked myself in my apartment. I spread my notes across the kitchen table, the glow of my laptop casting shadows on the walls. By the week's end, I had a polished pitch deck, enhanced with features Pinnacle had overlooked, and a daring plan to approach NovaTech, not as a cast-off but as an equal. Getting a meeting with NovaTech was no small feat. Their CEO, Priya Sharma, was a titan in the industry, known for her razor-sharp instincts and a reputation for lifting overlooked talent into the spotlight. I drafted an encrypted email attaching a teaser of my upgraded platform, real-time feedback loops and scalability options Pinnacle hadn't considered, and hinted at a partnership. To my astonishment, she replied within hours, inviting me to their Seattle headquarters. The day I walked into NovaTech's modern office, all glass and open spaces, my nerves were a tangled mess. Priya, a poised woman in her late 40s with a no-nonsense air, listened intently as I presented. "This is impressive," she said when I finished, her fingers steepled. "But why leave Pinnacle? They had this first." I took a deep breath, meeting her gaze. "They didn't value it. My boss mocked it, then sold a watered-down version to you. I'm here with the real deal, exclusive to NovaTech." Priya's eyes narrowed, assessing me, then a slow smile broke through. "I like a fighter," she said. "Let's talk terms." Over the next 2 weeks, we negotiated in a series of intense meetings, her team poring over my designs while I stood my ground on equity and credit. Finally, I signed a contract as a senior consultant, my platform now the cornerstone of NovaTech's latest success. The irony wasn't lost on me. Pinnacle's rejection had handed their rival a gold mine, and I was the one wielding the power. But the real victory was still on the horizon. I scheduled a meeting with Victor, passing it off as a routine project update. When I walked into his office, he barely looked up, muttering, "Lena, make it quick," his attention on his phone. I slid a tablet across his desk. NovaTech's press release opened to the platform launch. His eyes widened as he read, then jerked to me. This is your idea," he stammered, his smirk fading. "How?" I leaned back, echoing his usual arrogance with a calm I didn't feel. "You called it worthless, Victor. I took it to NovaTech. Now it's their triumph and mine." His face flushed a deep red, but before he could sputter a response, I stood. "Oh, and I quit. Good luck explaining this to the board." Walking out, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. This wasn't just revenge, it was my redemption. Pinnacle's loss was my gain, and NovaTech's rise was my creation. The journey was just beginning, and I had no idea what challenges lay ahead. The moment I stepped out of Victor's office, the air felt different, crisper, freer, like I'd shed a weight I'd carried too long. I was no longer just Lena Carter, the sideline project manager at Pinnacle Innovations. I was Lena Carter, senior consultant at NovaTech with a platform already making waves. But the triumph was laced with tension. Quitting felt right, but I knew Pinnacle wouldn't let this go quietly. Victor would scramble to save face, and I needed to be ready. My phone buzzed as I hit the elevator. Priya Sharma, NovaTech's CEO, calling for a debrief. I took a deep breath and picked up. "Excellent move, Lena," Priya said, her voice steady over the line. "Your platform's first rollout spiked retention by 15% in 2 weeks. The board's impressed, but we need to scale fast. Pinnacle's already circling, claiming IP rights." My gut clenched. Of course they'd try that. Victor had stolen my idea, and now he'd play the victim. "I have the original designs and timestamps," I said. "They can't touch it." Priya paused. "Solid. But we need a legal buffer. Meet me tomorrow. Bring it all." That night, I sifted through old files, pulling every draft, email, and meeting note from the past 6 months. The proof was airtight. My platform's concept predated Victor's, consulting by months. Still, a nagging doubt lingered. Pinnacle might fight dirty. I called Marcus, a tech lawyer I'd met at a conference. "They'll sue for theft if they think they can win," he warned. "File a patent now and document everything." The next day, I sat with a patent attorney securing protection for my AI algorithms. Cost $5,000 upfront, but NovaTech covered half, recognizing my worth. The next morning, I met Priya at NovaTech's headquarters. Her office, all glass and steel with a Seattle skyline view, felt worlds apart from Pinnacle's stale corridors. "We're launching Phase 2 next month," she said, sliding a contract across the desk. "I want you leading it, $120,000 a year plus equity options." My jaw dropped. It was double my old salary. "I'm in," I said, signing instantly. But the catch came fast. "Pinnacle sent a cease and desist," Priya added. "They claim you stole trade secrets." We've got 48 hours to respond. My heart sank. This was escalating. I teamed up with Marcus and NovaTech's legal crew, gathering evidence. My timestamps, Victor's mocking notes, even a recording of his dismissal, legal in Washington with consent. We fired back with a counterclaim charging Pinnacle with IP theft and ethics breaches. The next day, Pinnacle HR bombarded me with calls, demanding company property. I ignored them, diving into phase 2. My platform now included real-time customer feedback, a feature I'd sketched but never pitched. NovaTech's engineers were thrilled, and within a week we had a beta ready. The fallout hit hard. Pinnacle's stock slid 8% as the lawsuit news spread, and industry blogs lit up. Did Pinnacle undermine its own talent? One asked. Victor called, voice strained. Lena, this is a mistake. Come back, we'll fix it. I laughed. Fix it? You stole my work. I'm done. He hung up, but the damage was done. His credibility was tanking. NovaTech's stock, meanwhile, jumped 12%, my platform sealing a $50 million retailer deal. I moved into a new apartment in Capitol Hill, a cozy spot with a Space Needle view. My savings, boosted by NovaTech's advance, reached $30,000. I hired a part-time assistant, Tara, to manage my growing load. Meetings, media, demos. But the legal grind wore on. Pinnacle's lawyers deposed me, grilling me for hours on my process. I stayed cool, sticking to facts. Marcus was optimistic. Their case is shaky, he said. Victor's emails show he pitched your idea to NovaTech contacts before you left. The breakthrough came at a San Francisco Tech Summit. I was on a panel discussing AI when a reporter asked about the Pinnacle suit. It's straightforward, I said, mic in hand. My boss mocked my idea, stole it, and lost it to a rival. I took it back. The room buzzed, cameras flashing. That night, a clip of my words went viral on X, hitting 500,000 views with hashtag Lena Carter trending. Pinnacle's board issued a statement distancing themselves from Victor, hinting at an internal probe. Back in Seattle, Priya pulled me aside. You're a name now, she said. Let's brand your platform Carter AI and own the story. I paused. Naming it after myself felt bold, but it was mine. Go for it, I said. The launch was set for next month with a $10 million push. But Victor fought back, leaking an old review calling me unreliable, to smear me. I hit back with a blog post laying out my journey and attaching proof of my work. Public support swung my way with 10,000 signatures on a petition for Pinnacle accountability. The legal peak hit when Marcus found an email chain. Victor had sold my idea to NovaTech for a $50,000 consulting fee, pocketing it. We added fraud to the suit. Pinnacle's stock tanked another 15% and Victor was suspended. I felt a rush of victory, but the fight wasn't over. Priya pushed Carter AI for a global push, eyeing Europe. I started sketching cross-border analytics, but a call from an unknown number froze me. Lena, it's your old team lead, the voice said. We need to talk. It's about Victor and something bigger. I stared at the phone, pulse pounding. A setup? A revelation? The line went silent, leaving me with more questions. My journey was far from done. The unknown caller's voice echoed in my mind as I sat in the quiet of my Capitol Hill apartment, the phone still warm in my hand. It's about Victor, and something bigger, the old team lead from Pinnacle had said before the line went dead. My heart pounded against my ribs. Was it a ploy to drag me back into Pinnacle's mess, or a clue to a deeper conspiracy? I saved the number, my thoughts swirling with possibilities, but I set it aside for the moment. The next morning, I met Priya Sharma at NovaTech to iron out Carter AI's European launch, though that cryptic call kept pulling at my attention. We're locking in London and Berlin as our first targets, Priya said, her tone all business as she projected detailed market forecasts onto the wall. With 25% adoption, Carter AI could bring in $200 million, but Pinnacle's lawsuit is a wild card. We need to shut it down. I nodded, my focus split. The legal battle had already battered Pinnacle's stock by 25%, with Victor suspended and their reputation hanging by a thread. My fraud and IP theft claims were rock solid, but the something bigger gnawed at me. I'll take care of it, I promised, though I had no clear plan to tackle the unknown. That afternoon I dialed the number back. Dave, my former team lead, answered, his voice trembling with nerves. Lena, I could lose my job for this, he said. Victor's been siphoning profits, millions through shell companies. I found the records after he was out. If you expose it, Pinnacle might collapse. My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't just about my idea anymore. It was a full-blown corporate scandal. Send me everything, I said, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. Hours later, encrypted files hit my inbox. Bank statements, emails, a ledger detailing $3 million funneled out. Victor's greed was a tangled web I could expose. I rushed the evidence to Marcus, my lawyer, that evening. This is a powder keg, he said, poring over the documents with wide eyes. We can add racketeering and embezzlement charges. But they'll come at us with everything they've got. I didn't waver. Let's do it. The amended lawsuit dropped a week later, sending shockwaves through the tech world. Pinnacle exec faces embezzlement charges dominated headlines, and their stock plummeted another 20%. Victor was fired, his assets frozen pending a federal probe. But the retaliation was swift. Pinnacle's lawyers subpoenaed my records, emails, even old project notes, while NovaTech's board grew restless, worried about the PR hit. Priya called me into her office the next day. This is huge, Lena, but it's pulling focus, she said, her gaze piercing. Carter AI launches in 10 days. We can't afford a stumble. I threw myself into the rollout, working 16-hour days alongside Tara and the engineering team. We refined the cross-border analytics, testing it in a UK pilot with a mid-sized retailer. The results were staggering: 30% retention growth in just 3 days, outpacing our projections. But the legal pressure mounted. Pinnacle CEO Richard Holt reached out with a $1 million settlement offer, tied to a non-disclosure agreement. Walk away, Lena, he pressed during a tense video call, his tone clipped. This ends now. I ended the call without a word. No deal. I wanted justice, not a payout to silence me. Launch day arrived, a virtual event drawing 50,000 viewers worldwide. I stood on stage, Carter AI's logo glowing behind me, my nerves steadying as I began. This started as an idea my boss mocked in a meeting, I said, my voice carrying across the digital crowd. Now it's reshaping how businesses thrive globally. The demo showcased the UK pilot's success, with live data feeds and contracts rolling in from London, Berlin, and Paris. $250 million in total value. Mid-presentation, my phone vibrated with a text from Marcus. Pinnacle's folding. $2 million offer. Victor's confessing. I kept my composure, finishing with a powerful close, but my mind raced with the implications. After the event, Marcus filled me in. Pinnacle was offering $2 million to drop the suit, and Victor had agreed to testify against the board in exchange for leniency. They're on the ropes, he said, a grin breaking through. I accepted the deal, but with a twist. I demanded a public apology from Pinnacle, explicitly naming Victor's theft. They relented after days of negotiation, and a week later, Pinnacle apologizes for mishandling Lena Carter's innovation hit the news cycle, accompanied by Victor's confession on a popular tech podcast. His career was obliterated, his reputation in ashes. With the legal dust settling, I turned to Carter AI's future. Priya proposed a $20 million marketing campaign to dominate the Asian market, targeting Tokyo and Shanghai. I dove into the strategy, collaborating with a Japanese AI expert to adapt the platform for cultural nuances. We tested a pilot with a Tokyo retailer, achieving 25% retention growth in a week. The success drew interest from a South Korean conglomerate, hinting at a $100 million deal. My days blurred with meetings, code reviews, and travel plans, but I thrived on the chaos. One evening, as I unpacked from Berlin, a letter arrived, handwritten, no return address. Inside was a photo of Victor in handcuffs, escorted by FBI agents with a note. You started this. Finish it. No signature, just a cryptic PS. Watch the shadows. My blood ran cold. Was this a warning, a threat, or a thank you from an insider? I called Marcus, who urged caution but couldn't trace the sender. The mystery deepened, and I couldn't shake the feeling that someone else was watching. Standing on my balcony, Puget Sound glittering below, I felt a profound sense of victory. This was more than revenge. It was my transformation. Pinnacle's downfall was my doing, Carter AI my empire. The future held endless paths. A memoir to inspire others, a foundation for overlooked talent, or expanding Carter AI to new frontiers. As I sipped my coffee, the city hummed with possibility, but that letter's shadow loomed. What lay ahead? Only time would tell. Hey Revenge Tempest fans. Lena's journey from mock to mighty is pure fire. Loved it? Smash that subscribe button and join our squad. Drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from.